Watch it right here. This is not a friendly pat on the back. This is a shove.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. I'd fire him.
Now this video is flying around everywhere, but nobody saw the actual communication taking place between these guys. This wasn't some casual bickering like everyone says. This was a meticulously executed 4-stage ambush containing 8 specific social power moves that I'm gonna walk you through each one by one so you understand and you can see what's going on. On this channel, my name is Barron Cruz, if we haven't met. I walk through the psychology of social status and I break down everything in easy to understand bits because most people have no idea what's going on when they watch things like this or in their own lives. Now, in this breakdown, I'm gonna show Powell, Jerome Powell of the Fed, he lands some decent comebacks. He has some decent 1-2 punches on the way back, but he misses some big opportunities too. And Trump executed this. You can see there's certain things that you can tell were very strategic in a very coordinated fashion with his hype man as well. This is what power dynamics look like in real life. There's 4 stages to this King Lear type play: ambush, the battle, the kill shot, and the lesson. So let's start with the ambush. The whole thing starts with 3 quick attacks. Watch the first and obvious one, the shove/pat on the back.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates.
What does it look like? It looks like Trump's just patting his old boy on the back, acting all friendly, but both of these guys hate each other, and that's why this works. Trump's playing the role of the good old buddy with a little lighthearted fun and some banter, but even though everyone knows it's fake, they have to play along. Because think about it. What if Powell were to react negatively? This is positioned as just a friendly gesture. He comes across as an angry old man who's out of touch and can't take a joke. So he does the right thing. He just smiles and plays along. But in doing so, he is absorbing that dominant gesture from Trump. So even though that was the right thing to do, he came out on the short end of the stick. The only move that he could have done that would have been better in this instance is to slap Trump right back on the back, because that shows you see them as peers and shows that you're confident enough to do the same thing. And I encourage this move unless there's something going on where there's a hierarchy that's outside of the normal hierarchy. So what would that look like? At work. If your boss slaps you on the back and says something, you can't really slap him on the back. You may be setting yourself up for something bad. But every other instance, if you position it right, you really can, and it is the strongest move to do that. Shows that you're in on the joke, you're not taking it lightheartedly, but you're also not one to get pushed around and shoved around. Then the information ambush. Trump claims that Powell doesn't even know the budgets on his own project are running over, and he drops this as he pulls it out. This just came out. You're over by 0.4 billion, and look how slowly he pulls this document out before he hands it to him. It's such theatrics.
So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Now watch Powell's response. This is important. I haven't heard that from anyone at the Fed. So do you see the difference? He doesn't argue the number. He doesn't say anything about that. What he's basically saying is your source is garbage compared to mine. The horse's mouth is the Fed. That's who would know that. So that is a good move by Powell. Now here's where it gets coordinated. Right when Trump says 3.1 billion, his hype man, Senator Tim Scott, immediately echoes it. Yes, I believe we've heard 1.2 million. So now he's got a hype up like MC Hammer, a hype man in the back, who confirms what he's saying. So it's 2 against 1. So you see this a lot of times. Even if what somebody is saying is not the truth, when there's 2 people echoing it, it feels a lot more solid. And listen to Tim Scott's voice. You hear how he says this?
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2.
Our estimate is about 3.1, 3.2 as well. That's not an accident. Your tone of voice and the power in your voice has everything to do with how people perceive you, how believable you are, how credible you are, how high status people assume you are. Having a powerful voice is one of the 4 things that people judge you on, and it determines how much money you'll make, who's attracted to you, almost everything else in your life as a man. And if you don't understand this, I highly suggest you learn it. I'll put a link to a video below where I'll walk you through the whole thing. Now, part 2 is the strategic battle, and this is where the real battle actually starts. Trump's trying to make this completed building from 5 years ago sound like a fresh disaster and kind of throw it on Powell so he wouldn't be prepared for it. But here's the trap that everyone misses.
Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
The next question, do you expect any additional cost overruns? What is he accomplishing by that? By saying that, he's forcing Powell to accept there already was one overrun. So even though he disagreed, it's just like in a courtroom when a lawyer is asking questions of someone on the stand. A lot of times they'll ask questions that assume something is true that the person on the stand doesn't agree with, because by them not addressing they don't agree with that, they're kind of inadvertently agreeing with it. So watch, it's a tricky thing. And the jury who sees this, if they don't explicitly disagree with that, the jury kind of feels like, oh, maybe they do agree with that. It's very strategic, happens all the time in the courtroom. Watch what Powell does though.
Don't expect them. We're ready for them.
He doesn't disagree with it. He says, don't expect them, but we would be ready, in shorter words. So he kind of threads the needle on that. That's the best thing he does in the whole thing. He doesn't accept the frame. He doesn't reject it, but he says we would be ready if we were. So that was his best move by far. Part number 3, the climax. When the reporter then comes in with the old softball and says, Donald Trump, as a real estate developer, positioning him as the authority, how would you handle someone who's over budget? This is the definition of a staged softball question, and Trump hits him with 3 words, and it's not hard to guess what they are.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
What would I do? I'd fire him.
I'd fire them. But why does this work so well? The human brain loves simple answers to complicated problems. It shows Trump is the authority, he's above Powell, and he's reconfirming that hierarchy. But here's where the plan comes together. Right after establishing himself as the authority and coming across maybe as a little bit of a jerk, I'd fire him, he's right there. Trump's known for that, so he's probably not too worried about it. But then he does something very strategic.
And I don't want to be personal.
He says to the next question, no, I don't want to be personal. I don't want to take this too far. So you think that's him backing down? No, that's strategically showing that he has the power to kind of take him further, to destroy, to more cripple Powell, but he chooses not to use that power. I don't want to do this. So he's the good guy. So that's an actually more dominant strategic way of him exerting power and authority than actually if he would have taken that to attack further. Part number 4 is the payoff. So Trump knows exactly how media and social media and short form media works, probably better than anyone else in the world. So the I'd fire them, that little quip, he had to take that because it's just built for TikTok, for Instagram Reels. It's a soundbite that news outlets and talking heads like me can just loop on and play forever. So the conservative group, they'll just cut it like that and make him seem like there was nothing that Powell did, make him just look like a bumbling dope that was right there. And Trump knows that they could do that. So he gives a layup to all these news sources. Now, I'm sure the more liberal news will cut it and they'll show everything that I said that Powell did well to make Trump look bad. But Trump knew he needs to hand these news sources and these talking heads as many layups and little easily digestible sound bites as possible that they can just loop and replay forever. 3 seconds that they will say tells this whole story. Nothing else to see here. We got it right here. This is all he is. Powell's a bumbling dope, right? Now, when Trump says that, I'd fire him, Powell can't fight back. Because Trump is just answering a reporter's question, right? So if he pipes in, he looks all defensive, and Trump would be like, I'm just answering the question, right? So he knows. So he can't interrupt, he can't come back, it just looks petty. He also can't try to craft some brilliant comeback because nobody's listening. Once again, he would sound defensive. So staying quiet in this instant was actually the only move that he could have. It was the right move. Almost just kind of ignore it, you just stand there. But here's what Powell should have done. He could have done this better. At the end, when somebody challenges you outside of their expertise, you don't want to play their game. So when Trump said, I'm a real estate developer, what Powell should have said is something on the lines like, yeah, exactly. And I'm a central banker. I deal with systemic economic risk, not construction. Let's leave this project timeline to the managers and we can talk about important things like the economy. That would have been a cool move. Now, Trump wouldn't have just taken that sitting down. He probably would have fired back something with, yeah, if you understood the economy, you'd drop rates or something like that. But he can't control that. So he could have controlled a very sophisticated, educated line like that to say, hey, talking about timelines of a renovation project, that's not something that I even ever positioned myself as being like an authority on. So he could have definitely done that. He had a perfect opening, but he missed that. This social stuff, this matters now more than ever, because you've probably seen it in your own self and in your own friends. Since COVID, people forgot how to be around people, how to navigate social dynamics. They go out and they're stuck in their heads. They don't know how to read a room. They can't navigate confrontation. They don't feel comfortable out in public anymore. It's easier now than ever to stand out just by being halfway decent and becoming passable when it comes to dealing with other people. It's actually a massive competitive advantage because nobody can do it anymore. If you want to learn 4 steps that as a man, as long as you are a man, that you can actually engineer social competence and your own high status. The exact same principles that Trump uses in all these videos that I'm breaking down, I'll put a link to a video right down there and I'll walk you through it there. I'll talk to you there.